It's open.
I'll be back.
Okay, I'm going to start. Mr. Kennedy on?
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay, I'm going to start the meeting. Good evening and welcome to the BOE Board of Education special virtual meeting, July 28th, 2020 at 6:01 p.m. Can you please stand for the flag salute? I pledge
I
allegiance
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the BOE Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the BOE Borough Hall, communicated by the letter to the record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Bogota, and posted on the BOE Board of Education website. Irfan, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Alvarez? Absent. Mrs. Kearns? Mrs. Lewis? Absent. Mr. Maciel?
Here.
Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Jim, you're on mute.
Yep, I was gonna say, I see him.
Yeah.
Mrs. Van Buren?
Present.
Miss Montgomery?
Here.
Mrs. Coles?
Here.
We have the quorum.
Thank you. I'm just looking to see if Nathania's here. Also present is Mr. Kennedy, our superintendent. Nathania is not here. Mr. Efsel is our board administrator. And I don't.
Lizzie not here.
Lizzie's not here. Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, can I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second, Sabrina.
Sabrina? Okay, at this time, whereas C-231 PL 1975, also known as the Sunshine Law, authorizes a public body to meet in executive or private session under certain limited circumstances, and whereas said law requires the board to adopt a resolution at a public meeting before it can meet in such an executive or private session. Now therefore be it resolved by the BOE Board of Education that it does hereby determine that it is necessary to meet an executive session on July 28, 2020 at 6:04 p.m. to discuss matters involving superintendent's evaluation. That the matter discussed will be made public if and when confidentiality is no longer required, and action pursuant to the said discussion shall take place only at a public meeting. Action may be taken upon return from executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
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 So now we're gonna leave this meeting and we're gonna go into, no, we stay in this meeting?
No, you're gonna go to the Google Meet. I sent calendar invites.
So we
Okay,
have to leave this one and go back and go to Google Meets?
yes,
Correct.
I'll give it a shot.
okay. Jim, you got that?
I got it, I think.
Okay, very good.
I'll try and send everyone an email again. I just resent it, Jim, to your email. Check your email.
Mr. Kennedy, I think he's in both at the same time. You
I'm
mute
gonna
him?
mute all. So.
I needed coffee.
Lisa,
Yes.
did you open the public session and close it for the first special meeting?
Oh, no. Uh-oh, we gotta go back there, right?
Yeah, we need to go back to public and close it.
Okay, sorry. We gotta go back to the other meeting
What
No.
other meeting?
where we
We-
were.
We don't,
Do that, we
we don't-
close that meeting. You just
We
need
need
to
to go
open
back.
this one. You just need to open this one.
We closed, we didn't close the meeting. We closed it, we closed, we didn't go back out in public and close the meeting. That meeting's still going on.
So we have to close the special meeting and then open the regular meeting.
yeah, when
Right.
it's 7 p.m., but we need to close this one first, if
Okay.
you're done.
I make a motion to close the special meeting.
I second.
I second your motion.
We'll have to go back to the other one. I think we have to go back to the meeting.
We have to go back to the
No?
meeting.
No, this is the meeting, guys.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. We're back to the original one.
We logged in. This was the first meeting that we logged into. Then when we didn't close this, we just left to go to the executive session, and now we're back. It's like we went into the teacher's lounge, and now we're back.
Okay. Since we
Well, that's
advertised
something
first
that-
special meeting,
Thing that we were in closed session. But we opened, closed in this meeting. I think Amanda.
Kathy, we can't hear you.
You're breaking up on us, Kat.
I can't hear me.
You're echoing.
Better?
Actually, we did say in this section. She is right.
This is the original 6 o'clock meeting. We opened and then to close. And now we're back into this meeting where we did that. It wasn't 2 separate meetings. It was, but.
Hey, Frank,
Am I still echoing?
Yes.
Vicky said that she doesn't think the public can see more than one person at a time. I don't know if it's just her screen setting or. Okay.
So did we make a decision on how to close the special meeting? Should we just?
Yeah, don't you just,
I have to make a motion to go back into.
I don't think we have to leave. We just have to say the special meeting ended and we're starting this one,
That's right.
right? In the same room. We don't have to leave.
That's correct. Because we closed the special, Lisa, we closed the executive session. So now we're like, let's pretend we were in executive session. We went into the teacher's lounge and now we're back out in public.
Exactly.
So now all we have to do is close the special meeting and then open the regular meeting.
Yes.
So I make a motion to close the special meeting.
And I second Amanda's motion.
We can't hear Kathy. Kathy, maybe you should try logging back in. You keep breaking up.
All right, I'll back in. Have a good day. All right, I'm signing out.
I'm just gonna eat.
Okay, so Amanda made the motion, Adalia seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Back.
thank you.
All How are you, Irfin?
That was painful, huh, Irfin?
Somebody just said again that they can't see all of us at once, only one at a time.
They have to change their setting. If you can hear me, you have to go to change your setting to speaker view, and you can see all of us. All of our connection was fine before. I don't know what happened.
Oh, okay, she said better. I think it's working.
Am I back?
You're back. Better.
Better? Is that better?
I guess so.
All right, if I talk, am I okay?
Yeah.
Better,
That's better.
Okay, thank you. Ooh, 83 people now. I know, it's a big one. Seven o'clock.
It's a new record.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Am I echoing when I talk?
A little bit.
Speakers.
Yeah.
Just tell me when you want me to start.
I think you can at 7.
It's 7:01. I can't understand anyone, or is it just me?
Frank,
I think it's every.
Frank,
Yes.
Frank, Jim Moore said he can't start his video because it's locked.
There we go.
And they're still saying they can only see one person.
There he is. Okay.
Somebody wants to know if this meeting is to parents as well. I don't know what that means. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, this is not good. Frank?
Yes.
Frank? I was on a county meeting the other day, and they muted everybody from your end, and we had to kind of like raise our hand or something. That helped with the sound reception. Maybe if you just muted us all, except for the one who's talking, that might help us. I don't know.
Mr. Kennedy is host at this point.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna mute everybody, and then when it's time to do roll call and things like that, I'll unmute. But there was a question, the public should be muted right now, and when we go to public comments, you'll be able to hear. You'll be able to talk if you raise your hand. I just muted everybody. So Lisa, you could start.
Good evening and welcome to the Dakota Board of Education special virtual meeting, July 28th, 2020 at 7:04 p.m. Can you please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Bogota Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Bogota Borough Hall, communicated by letter to the record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Bogota, and posted on the Bogota Board of Education website. Irving, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Alvarez,
President,
Mrs. Kearns,
Present.
Mrs. Lewis,
here.
Mr. McHale,
Here.
Mrs. Miller,
Here.
Mr. Moore,
Yeah.
Mrs. Van Buren,
Present.
Miss Montgomery,
Here.
Mrs. Coles.
Here.
We have the full board.
Thank you. Also present is Mr. Kennedy, our superintendent. Is Nathaniel present?
Yeah.
Nathaniel Simons is our board attorney. Mr. Efsel is our board administrator, and Elizabeth Ruiz is the board secretary. Okay, at this time, we have a motion to open up to public comments on agenda items only.
So moved, Pat.
Pat,
Second.
Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, at this time, if anybody would like to come forward, please state your name and your address. And this is just for agenda items only. Mr. Kennedy, you can just check and see if anybody comes forward.
There's three.
Okay, I see nobody coming forward. Can I have a motion to close public comments?
So moved.
Pat,
And Sabrina.
second Sabrina, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Lisa,
Yes,
there was a question, somebody wants to know if the agenda's online.
say that
The
again, Kathy.
agenda on the site.
I didn't hear what Kathy said.
Is the agenda online?
Is the agenda online?
Yeah.
Yes.
It should be online, yes.
Okay, someone asked. That's all.
All right, I'm going to mute everybody when I go to the superintendent report.
Okay.
Let me just make sure everyone's muted. Okay. First, if you look at your agenda, there's one item that we have to make a change to, item 7/28/2006. And you should remove from that the community and parent involvement specialist. It's just going to be the preschool intervention and referral team. So it's really one position, not two. Two positions was added to the agenda. And then also we have an addendum tonight that was posted online as well. Our district doctor has retired, so we're in the process of trying to find someone very quickly. Also on there is the CARES Act for the digital divide, the grant that we put in for. We were allocated for, I think, close to $150,000. So more information is going to come out, but we just wanted to get that board approved so we can move forward with that. And then also for one of the preschool position, that other position is on that addendum. And then I want to get right back into our restart and recovery plan. And I'm going to share my screen with you and just go through a little PowerPoint about what we're looking to do and where we are in the process right now. Let me get this shared. So I think everyone can see that. So so on June 26th, the roadback document came out, and this was from the DOE guidance on how we're going to try to open up schools in September. It was very specific on what we can and cannot do, and we've been following this to get started. So what we've been able to come up with is what everyone needs to understand in this process right now, that our number one priority is the health and safety of our students and staff. I know a lot of people are going to have different opinions about this, but the most important thing is that we keep everyone safe in and out of school. So on Monday, or last week actually, the governor announced that families will be allowed to opt out of in-person instruction. The roadback document requires us to have 1 day of in-person instruction, but now the governor is allowing anyone to opt out. And if you don't want to send your child back to school, you could fill out paperwork and they will complete the remote instruction only. And we're going to get a little bit deeper into that, but we're going to be sending out paperwork at the end of this week because we have to make sure that parents opt the kids out so we know who's coming and who's not. So we're looking at different phases. And when I tell you that this is a working document, when I tell you that this will be changing every day, it's changing daily. So what we're trying to do is start out on phase 1. And our plan is this. We want to have 3 cohorts of students. 2 students, 2 cohorts, cohort 1 and 2 will be coming for in-person instruction. And then cohort 3 are going to be the students whose parents opt them out. So what we want to try to do to get the year started is have single session days. Cohort 1 will come to school on Monday and Tuesday. Cohort 2 will come to school on Thursday and Friday. Wednesday, everyone would be virtual for all students. And this would allow for deep cleanings in buildings and make sure we're disinfecting everything for the next group of kids to come in. So again, these are not ideal situations, but this is the safest way, using the document, the roadback document, how we could get kids back into the building to start the year. What we've realized, what we have to do is we have to make sure that if you're not in school, when you're home, we plan on streaming from the classroom or from the home, wherever the teacher is. So if you're in person, you're going to be sitting in front of a teacher, or if you're at home, you're going to be seeing that teacher live. We understand that in March through June, the virtual experience wasn't the greatest, but it's what we had to do to get through the rest of this year. But I have tasked our administrators and our teachers with providing a more rigorous virtual platform if we are going more virtual next year. We recognize siblings we're going to try and keep them in the same groups. So just some typical schedules if you want to look at this so you get a better idea. Let's say you're an elementary student, K6, you're in group 1. Group 1 is coming to school 8:10 to 2:20. We're going to have a common lunch period for all kids so they could get home. And then in the afternoon, groups 1 and 2 and 3, all those kids that opt out all the time, will be virtual. So when you're in person for group 1, you're virtual in group 2. And then we flip-flop that later in the week. That Wednesday would be a deep cleaning. The other thing that we're doing is we're trying to have staggered start times across our schools so that our students, siblings can help each other get kids to and from school. We understand that the older students do help with their brothers and sisters and cousins and family members. So we are sensitive towards that, and we are trying to work on that. Also very similar in the high school. If you're a group 1, you're in person Monday, Tuesday. Group 2, in person Thursday, Friday. with virtual in the afternoon. Like I said earlier, we are definitely trying to have a more rigorous curriculum online and virtually right now. So these will be mandatory, classes will be running, students will have to come to the Zoom sessions and Google Meets and any other streaming services that we're using at this time. So, procedure to protect students and staff. So what we're looking to do. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to have medical screenings when entering the building. We're going to be taking temperature checks. Staff will be in full PPE, meaning you will come there, a teacher's going to be wearing a face mask, a face shield, a gown, gloves, boots, and everything, taking temperatures and screening students when they're coming in. Any student that's flagged would have to go to an isolation room and meet with the nurse to get further testing. Social distancing, we're going to have markings all over the place in classrooms. Face coverings when social distancing is not possible. Student and teacher plastic barriers. So we purchased a lot of plastic barriers and sneeze guards so students could be at their desk, and if we can't social distance at all times, we'll be able to use these plastic barriers to prevent any contagions going around, and sneeze guards. Hand sanitizing all over the place. Cleaning and sanitizing all over the place. We purchased some backpacks that have some good stuff that's going to help us clean and sanitize classrooms quicker and faster. Staggered start times and exit times, meaning we want to have the middle school coming in a little bit early and the high school coming in a little bit later. Same thing in the elementaries. Hallways and staircases, we're going to make them one-way stairwells, so kids are not bumping into each other in the hallway. We're limiting the amount of kids will be leaving the classroom. And then to get started, we got to do grab-and-go meals for all students. Right now, it's almost impossible to put kids in a cafeteria. You're not even allowed to eat indoors right now in a restaurant at 25 capacity. Our buildings are small, and to get kids into a lunchroom without face mask, it just would not be a good situation to start. So again, this is phase one. Contact tracing. We've been doing a lot of work on this, and we're still waiting for more guidance from the DOE. But right now, we're working very closely with the Bogota Health Department and also the County Health Department. We've had several meetings with them. If they find out about a positive case, whether it's a family member or a student, they will contact us. Right now, it's up to us to contact the student's class and teacher. We also are looking in further how we should contact the whole school if we have a positive case. But some of the things are going to be right from the get-go. If a class has it, that class is going to be shut down, and for 10 days, they're going to work remotely. And then when they have improving symptoms and no fever without medication. But again, we were told we were going to get a how-to guide on how to handle all positive cases, and we're still waiting on that. Things to consider. So one of the first things that's important to understand is students have to feel safe in school. So we're going to do our best to make them feel safe in school. The social and emotional impact right now that what's been going on. I know it's summertime. I know kids are getting out a little bit more, but it was a tough couple of months for them. We have to address learning gaps right away. We understand that kids fell behind, so we're going to have to access some former curriculum for the kids to see where they are, and then we have to catch them up to where they're going. We understand 100% we have to improve virtual instruction. You have to understand our teachers did a tremendous job putting that together on the fly without the proper equipment to get it done. We're purchasing a lot of different equipment that's going to help more live streaming from classrooms and the home, holding the kids more accountable. We were told from the onset not to push kids because they didn't know what was going on in the house. Now we have to push them. We have to hold them more accountable. We're also making sure every student has a district-issued device, because only a Bogota email will get on that device, so there's no confusions when logging into Google Classroom. We also are going to be offering a ton of professional development for staff, but also for families. We want to be able to help them during this time. We understand that childcare is a major concern for working parents. So we're doing our best right now to work with the borough to see what we can offer in town to help with those parents. But we also are going to start pushing out to our PTOs a community effort, maybe trying to get pods of parents together that work in the same, students in the same class, and see what we could do to help one another. But this will be a community effort. This is not going to be something that one or two people are going to be able to do. So we're going to be working closely with everyone that we can to provide the best care that we can for our kids. We will go into a phase 2 and a phase 3, and that will expand off of phase 1 with longer days for students in the building. But we have to understand this is changing every day. So this plan we have today, in a month, they could tell us we're going all virtual. Or they might say, hey, you can put more kids in the classroom. And what we're able to do, we're going to do our best to do. But that's my last thing is that this is a unique situation, and we are changing every day. And I really need people to understand that. And we are going to make the adjustments when necessary. Student schedules and cohort groups will be shared in August. In the next 2 weeks, you will find out what day your kids are going to school, so you can start planning for childcare. We did move the start back of school to after Labor Day because we want to give teachers more time to get classrooms ready, to learn our new PD on virtual instruction, also new cleaning procedures and everything else that we have to follow moving forward. So again, no schedule that we make right now is going to be perfect for everyone, but we're going to do our best to work with everyone. Like I said, we have a meeting with the borough officials looking at their areas too to see if we can provide childcare on the days when your student will not be in school. And that's where we are right now in this process. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'm going to come back on, and then we can open it up to questions now too. If you raise your hand, I'm pretty sure I can see it. I see some chat questions. All right, I see your hand now. How do I allow to talk? I believe that's Denise. Hello? Ask to unmute.
Just to make sure they state their name and their address.
Okay. Let me see here. I see another hand. I see a couple here. Do I have to, okay, Susan Harper?
Yep. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much. I don't know if you can see me or not, but that's okay if you can't.
Just name and address, please.
Sure. Susan Harper, 344 River Road. My son is in 7th grade. He's in 8th grade. First of all, I want to just commend everybody for your very hard work and your challenging, going through this very challenging period. I want to specifically also point out my son's teachers, Linda Matrakis, Mr. Rockford, Gloria Simone, are the science teacher, as well as Miss Misa. I was in regular communication with them throughout the entire pandemic. Let me tell you something. When I mean regular communication, I really wrote to them on a weekly basis to really make sure that I was partnering with them. And they were very responsive and very really were helpful to my son. But my question is just going through what you just put through and talking about the 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, and on Wednesday and Thursday. Do you expect to have deep cleaning on Saturday? How many students do you expect to be in each class? I have heard from the students themselves that they're very concerned about the number of kids in the classroom because of the fact that they seem to pack in a lot of kids. This is just what I've been told. Have we considered doing anything outside of the classroom, in better weather, teaching outside? And I'm also for childcare for the teachers. I see that the teachers are really struggling on this issue, and that, that will help the students in general if that issue is if they get some support in that area. Thank you.
100%, we're definitely looking at outside areas. We're also, let me just mute you now.
Sure.
Our initial survey had 30% of students, parents did not want their kid coming back to school. 30% were unsure. So we will have better numbers right now to, hold on. We will have better numbers at the end of this week of who's definitely not coming back. Your second question, yes, deep cleaning, that the idea is that we keep the same cohort of kids in there on Monday, Tuesday. deep cleaning on Wednesday. Then it's a different cohort of kids on Thursday, Friday, deep cleaning on Saturday. So we're all back in the building on Monday again. And yes, we have been working with teachers. They actually just got some paperwork this week, and they're letting us know what they can and cannot do as well. So I think that was all 3 questions. Let me see, other hands. Vanessa, allowed to talk. Vanessa.
Hi, good evening. Just a quick question. Will the BOE be aware of community cases? So therefore, if we're not getting students or staff stating positive, but are you going to have count as to what the community cases will be? Therefore, so then you can make any changes or adjustments throughout the school year.
My understanding with that right now is that the Department of Health will contact us when we need to know. With HIPAA laws, it's very unique at what we do and what we can and cannot know. So 100% though, we have been in contact with the OEM and the town on positive cases and working together through this time. But 100%, it's what we know is what our community will know.
Okay, one more question. In regards to the opting out and so forth, or having to switch. So if a family decides to opt out remotely, do they have to opt out for the whole year, or is it based on trimester, and vice versa?
From early reports, I think that students will be able to opt in and out. We're trying to set up our cohort so that we can do it that way, but we would probably ask a week or 2, but we're going to have more information about exactly if you opt out, what that entails, if you're out for the quarter or for the month, or at least till we get to phase 2. I think phase 1, we're going to, like the middle of October, and then after that, we could reassess if kids want to come back. But I do believe that anybody wants to opt out at any time, they would be allowed to do so because they wouldn't be putting kids in the building.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I see Bernie.
Hi,
Miss-
yeah.
Hi.
You got me?
Yeah.
Okay. Carmel Bernie, 162 East Fort Lee Road. With the COVID, part of it is that you have to have circulation of air. Obviously, the schools don't have air conditioning. Recommended would be to open a lot of the windows in the classroom. Are you going to be installing fans or some sort of device to circulate some of that air? I mean, if we get an Indian summer like we have in the past, you can go in those classrooms and it's pretty stagnant air. Has that been considered?
Yeah, most of the ventilators in the buildings have been worked on, and it does take a percentage of the air outside and pushes it into the classroom. So we are working on that with our building and grounds guy.
Okay. Are you going to be hiring an outside, second question, sorry, an outside cleaning company to come in and clean this school, or are you going to have the custodians do that cleaning?
That would be our custodians. We might be picking up a couple of part-time custodians to help with the process.
And have they been trained in some of this new process of cleaning with the, different types of cleaning that's being done for COVID?
Yes, we have our building and grounds guy's been on, and he's been on top of it and working with everyone. So we're looking at a lot of different options of what can be done and not done in classrooms. And I'm very confident with our building and grounds supervisor that he's on top of it and making sure everyone is trained.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Let me see who else I saw. All right, I see Lee. Allowed to talk.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Thank you. I have a 2-part question, and it's specific to middle school students. So the first is there a plan to engage the special education students that are participating in distance learning? And the second part is with respect to the to the middle school students, will they be changing classes or will they be remaining at their desk? And if the students are changing classes, is there a plan to wipe down the sneeze guards and desks in between classes?
Yes, middle school for the most part will be staying put and teachers will be moving at this point in time. Again, plans are changing, but that's how we're planning it right now. And the sneeze guards we're working with where the kids might be able to take it with them for the 3 periods of the day and then give it back to us at the end. But all classrooms are going to have disinfectant wipes and anything else that's going to be needed to help wipe things down in between classes.
Thank you. And is there a plan, my first question, is there a plan to engage? I know it's a challenge, but is there discussion about how to engage the special education students when they're distance learning?
Yes, we are working on a plan, but we do have the opportunity to bring classes, special ed classes back every day because they have small numbers. So we're working out those numbers now and looking at class sizes and trying to get them in rooms so that they wouldn't have to do all virtual learning if they didn't want to. So they might be able to come in 5 days a week because their class sizes are so small.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I see. Is it, Bay? Allowed to talk?
Yes, hi, Beatrice Velez, 172 Beechwood.
Hi.
Hi. My first question is for students that are in a special needs class, will the services be virtually? So my son had extended year and having speech virtually was okay. Ms. Song Antonio did an amazing job from the get-go, but having occupational therapy through a computer was really a waste of time, though she did an excellent job as hard as she can. Would that also be going on the Mondays and Tuesdays? And you said they can't leave the classrooms, but he needs to go into that classroom. Do you have a plan on that?
We are working to make sure everyone's getting their services when they're in person. So we are working on a plan for that. And that will be coming out shortly. But when they are in school, we're hoping to provide what we can to them because we know that they're, with the virtual environment, there are gaps.
Great, thank you. And then some of the testing wasn't done at the end of the year. Well, sometime, I'm assuming not in September, but will you be reassuming some of the testing that needs to be taking place for those students?
Yeah, we actually started now on small numbers, starting to get some testing done. So kids that were not, but we just started last week. So we had to get all the proper equipment and guard. So that just has started last week. So if anything was missed, I'm sure they're getting around to you now.
Okay, yeah, he was not tested. And then I just want to make sure, because it was breaking up, you did say that siblings would be going on the same days, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we ran some reports from real time, and we trying to match up high school students with their siblings in the elementary and siblings in the same school 100%. So parents don't have to find 5 days, just 3.
Okay, and thank you for mentioning that you will consider possibly doing 5 days for children that really need it so they don't fall further behind. Thank you, everyone.
So Denise? I can't see.
Denise?
I keep asking her to unmute. Oh, there you go. Hello, Denise?
Yes, hi. I don't have a question. I'm just listening in.
Oh, it's Miss Giamo.
Yes, hi. I'm just listening. but on the lower left, I should check mute.
No. Your hand is raised. I'm just going to lower your hand for you. Don't worry.
All right, thank you.
All right. Ida.
Hi. Are you able to
Hello.
hear me? My name is Idalisa Dimitriadis from 43 Pine Street. I have several questions. One of them are the preschool age kids that are enrolled in the pre-K 3 and 4 still gonna be able to go to school given the option?
Yes.
Now, will they be considered along with their siblings? Even
They
though
are,
they're in different schools?
I know when we ran the report, we included Trinity and Brightart, so, hold on. Yeah, as of right now, yes.
Okay, and then aside from the survey, will there be more communication in email survey? Like, will this email be posted in writing? All the information you put in your PowerPoint be emailed to other parents that weren't able to attend?
Yes, and the board meeting, we have the agendas, and then any presentations, we have a link that you can view that as well. And then on our website, we usually post all the communication out to parents because we send text messages out with PDFs, so parents are able to get the message. But this PowerPoint will be available on the website tomorrow on the board meeting, and you'll see all the information there.
Perfect. And then I know that you mentioned in and out of classrooms, they'll be limited. But like things like our children go to specials, will that be limited and the teachers be coming to each classroom like that the children aren't moving?
They're going to be trying to do that more virtually because that puts the teacher seeing close to 300 kids a week. So we're trying to figure out how we could do that virtually and make that work for everyone.
All right, perfect. And then the materials that the kids bring home and in school and out of school, is that something that you're going to be limiting as well? Like that they're not bringing so much home and?
Well, I think what we're going to require the students is to bring that Chromebook to and from school.
The Chrome, you saying?
Chromebook.
Okay.
We're going to want them using the same device always. So that's always going to be something that we want. But yes, it's not going to be, again, the first couple of weeks, I think we're going to be very cautious and see how it goes, but we're not going to be handing out a ton of things. But I think the one thing that we have this year that we didn't have last year is we had time to prepare. So students will have all their materials at home and only bring in what they need to bring in. And we'll be able to access a lot more of the curriculum this way.
Okay, great. And will there be, last question, will there be more IT support? Like links that weren't opening and assignments that weren't, it was really the teachers kind of like being the IT behind that. Will there be more support on that end?
Yes, we actually have our IT director, and then we have a full-time and we have a part-time now that will be helping. But we do plan on offering a lot more PD to parents to help them in the process, because a lot of times it was simply by not using a Pagoda email address or something like that. So we're trying to streamline that and make that a lot easier for everyone involved, so that when you open up that district device Chromebook and you go to Chrome and you go to Google Classroom, it only accepts a Pagoda BOE. So that'll be helpful.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Jackie, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, this is Jackie Taramelix-Etienne, 110 Palisade Ave. I just had a question on if there's any chance of after-school activities or what that looks like. I mean, I understand they're not supposed to get together in groups, but is there any plan for potential virtual clubs, or how are the sports just shut down? How's that going to go?
Sports right now is actually, we're voting on phase 2 tonight. They were in phase 1 2 weeks ago, and they started conditioning, practicing outdoors. Phase 2 starts today. I mean, I see today the NJAC, which is the local college sports teams, they canceled their fall season. The MAC canceled their season today. So I see a lot of sports shutting down. So I'm not holding my breath, but we do want to continue with virtual clubs, because it will give the kids something to do after school. And that's something I would like to continue, definitely. But sports, we're following what we're allowed to do right now, and we're just following what the NJSAIA allows us to do. So if we're allowed to play and our parents allow their students to play, then we will.
Right, thank you, that works, appreciate it.
Liliana?
Yes.
Hello.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I got a question. My concern is with my son. He is 5 years and he's gonna start kindergarten. Obviously, the kids, they don't understand well what the distances mean. So what do you have like plan for them to can keep like separate or so they can be safe?
Well, we're trying to, all our plans are hoping to keep all the kids safe, not just one grade level more than another. Our plan is to keep everyone safe. But it's that social distancing, it's that screening when you come in, it's face coverings for staff, and when students can't, it's, you know, constantly washing hands and being on top of it. My big problem is this: I can't guarantee you that first graders and kindergartens are going to always social distance, but we're going to do our best to make sure they understand. But I also understand that they're 6 and 7 years old, and you know, telling kids not to share is the opposite of what we teach them growing up. So it will be a challenge. It will be a challenge, but that's, you know, it's going to be constantly monitored and changed where it has to be. So like, this is our plan. I think someone said to me the other day, and it was a great idea. There's the plan, but then we got to play the game. When we start playing the game, we're going to see what adjustments we have to make it work for us. We're taking all the recommendations from the DOE, from the county, from the CDC, and we're working that into our plan. But again, each building is different, each district is different. So we're going to constantly adjust our plan where necessary.
All right, thank you. How many kids do you plan to have in each group, like for kindergarten example?
I would have to look at the numbers, but we're trying to cut each cohort in half. So if there's 20 kids, 10, and that's not without counting kids that opt out. So we're trying to keep the numbers at 50% capacity in rooms when possible.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay. Let me see here. I think I saw some hands up here. Let me just go all the way to the top and work my way down. I see Christopher King.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. And Chris King, 138 Fairview Avenue. Back to the special needs kids or kids with IEPs in place. Well, the parents will be contacted individually to discuss options of the smaller classrooms and the 5 days a week, or is it just going to go based on the survey?
No. The special ed students will be, they will have case managers reaching out to them, telling them the option that they will be available to come in 5 days a week if they choose to.
Okay, excellent. Also, last question. Will we have maybe a virtual tour of provisions taking place in the classroom so we can actually see what our kids are walking into?
It's actually an excellent idea, and I like it, and we'll definitely do something like that now that you said that.
Great, thank you very much.
Mrs. Shepherd.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Okay. To clarify, staff and students are going to have some kind of a health check in the morning?
Yes.
Okay. And first of all, let me say, and let the board know that I think most teachers, and I'm saying this just from my own opinion, feel that Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Evsel, Mr. Chang, all the building administrators have done so much in trying to make this as safe as they can. So thank you. But just to bring up one other thing, we have to give some thought as to logistics on bathroom use. I have a room full of 7-year-olds. Okay. Also keep in mind that teachers now are going to have to go from 8 o'clock in the morning to 11:50, 12:30. So there might need to be some relief at times. Sorry to be crude, but thank you.
No problem. Actually, we sit around and have these conversations, and that's one of the topics that we're trying to get to the bottom of. So again, we're 6 weeks out before we actually come back into a classroom. But yes, 100%. Bathrooms is something we're talking about. Hallways, entrances. Every day. Every time we think we have something figured out, 3 more questions pop up that we're working on. So. But like Mrs. Shepherd said, the administration, they've been working very closely. We've been working very closely with the BEA during this time in committees, working together to try and solve some of these problems. Lower hand. Sherry.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, Sherry Solomov, 350 Larch Ave. Thank you, everybody. I just have a quick question. Having little ones, my youngest isn't even in school yet. My other ones are going into kindergarten and first grade. My question isn't regarding the training that the janitors are having, but more the chemicals and the spray that they'll be using. Do we know what they're going to be using, whether it's going to be an endless disinfectant by the EPA or if it's going to be a hydrogen peroxide disinfectant? Because it being food safe is really important, given these little ones will love to grab whatever, stick it in their mouth. So what's being sprayed, and is it safe on food or just objects that we're not taking into consideration with ingesting?
I know anything that is sprayed has to be approved, but I think it was Mr. King brought up. I would like to have our building and grounds person actually talk more about these exact things that we're going to be using, and walk everyone through it so you get some peace of mind with that. But 100%, anything that we use has to be approved, and it's safe for students. For example, what you spray with at night, it would be different than what you spray with during the day. So at night, because it has to sit for an hour or two, compared to if you're spraying for 5 minutes and kids are coming into a room. But I'd rather have our building and ground supervisor talk everyone through that, but we'll definitely put something together about stuff that we're using and what it looks like coming into a building, because it will be a different situation this year walking into the building for students. And, especially if you're, a kindergarten or a first grade student, it's going to be a little, it's going to be, it's not going to be fun at first, I think. Until everyone is safe, we're going to make sure that we're being cautious with everyone entering a building. So
Safety is definitely a priority. I just want to make sure that they're giving enough downtime and dry time in between sprays, given the chemicals that they're using, because the last thing we need is any kid, God forbid, getting poisoned because they're sticking their hand in their mouth because something didn't get dried properly, so on and so forth. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Look forward to it.
I see an NK. NK. I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, Damien. It's
Yes.
Paul Martinez, Diane Kellerman, and Diane Barinello here. We're all together in one. We have a couple of questions. First one, you said that special ed students would be going 5 days a week. What day is the day that they then are going to have to deep clean if they're going 5 days a week?
But they only have to deep clean one classroom for them, so that's not, they can clean it every day, a deep clean. Because it's a cohort of kids, are the same kids every day.
So it's going to be the same kids, whether it's Barinello's kids or Kellerman's kids? There will be 2 classrooms then, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you don't need to deep clean it in between?
Yeah, each day it could be cleaned, but we don't have to deep clean the whole building because it's just going to be those 2 classrooms.
Okay. And then I have one more question. In my classroom, I have a class set of books. So the kids are not allowed to share those books. How are we going to handle the textbook situation then? We're going to do completely online?
We're gonna, I believe that's gonna have to be an issue. Yes, we would have to do everything online as much as possible.
Okay. And so, yeah, those were the two things, the deep cleaning between the special ed, because if we're going regular classes, it would be A, 2 days, and B, 2 days with Wednesday deep cleaning. They had some questions as to whether or not you were going to be deep cleaning their classrooms also. So that was one of the questions that we wanted to know. So thank you.
Okay. Eladia? Avia?
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, how are you? Good evening. My question is regarding kind of like attendance during the school day. It's looking like my option is possibly leaving my child with a trusted caregiver, but unfortunately someone that is not able to really support her with virtual learning. So my option is really to kind of support my child once I get home from work, because I also work in another school district. Would she be penalized for not logging on during the day, the school day hours? I know that I wouldn't have access to the teacher per se, other than email. But my concern is her being penalized for not possibly logging on during those hours.
And this is for a younger grade?
She's starting kindergarten.
Okay, yeah, I mean, 100%. I think that's going to be case by case, but we do want to try and help caregivers out too with instructions. Is because once you log on, it's just going to be like live streaming to the classroom. So literally, the student just has to be able to log on, and we'll be able to get into the classroom. So we're hoping to have pretty simple instructions that will be able to help everybody in English and Spanish and any other language that we have to translate into. But we talk about this. There's a big difference between a 16-year-old student not logging in and a 6-year-old student. So we're sensitive to that, and we are working through that as we speak.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
Do I got? Oh, let me just. Connie. Connie, you there? Oh, another hand is up. Laura.
Good evening, everyone. I appreciate you all being here through all of this. And I just want you to know I appreciate our administrators to no end. We are getting such good information from them as well as we can with what's going on. I do have a question about what happens if someone gets sick? What happens if I have a student who gets COVID? What happens if I get COVID? What happens?
Well, this is what I will tell you right now. We continue to ask for guidance on this. What we're told right now, which we haven't got a straight answer from the DOE, is that class would shut down for 2 weeks and go virtual. And any student that came into contact with that person, and there's very strict rules for contact tracing. It's the student would have to touch you, or you would have to be in that in a room with that student, or you would have to be within 6 feet of them for 10 minutes. So again, that is my number one question that we keep asking is what is happening, and there's a big difference. In elementary is one classroom, in a high school it could be 6 classrooms because kids got to move. So it's a problem that we have, and we're hoping to hear something very soon because everyone is asking. We've been waiting on a checklist from the DOE for these plans. We still have not received that. So we're working with the information we have, and as soon as we have different information, we let our community and staff know. So, but agreed, 100%. That is my number one question. What happens when a student tests positive, or a teacher, or a family member at home tests positive? How does that affect everything? So we were told we will get a how-to playbook of how to handle each situation, whether it's a brother or a sister or a family member or a child themselves or a teacher.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I just, there are just so many questions about all of this, about keeping everyone safe. And believe me, I have friends who have kids and neighbors who have kids, and everybody, I included, would love to be back in school. I'm older. I'm not so good at the virtual stuff. I'm 150 times better than I was in February. But if we have to be virtual, we have to be virtual because people's lives are at stake. And all of us, like I've seen these posters recently that say teachers will gladly put themselves in the way of bullets in active shooter situations, but we don't take those bullets home. And all of us have families. Our kids have families. Many of our families teach or live with generational houses, and they could take this home just by talking to somebody outside of school. So I just hope that we err on the side of caution. Thank you, guys.
We still got some hands up. I've answered. Connie, are you there? All right, I'm going down the. Antoinette Ramirez?
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Hi, Antoinette Ramirez, 98 Queen Anne Road. I just wanted to ask you, I know you mentioned that the staff is going to have the full PPE. I know you mentioned sneeze guards, but what about the children wearing masks? That's personally a concern of mine, that if it's not required, it can easily be transmitted because it is hard to keep the kids distanced no matter how hard you try. And so I'd like to know if the district is considering requiring masks for all the children. And then my second question is, with the grammar school, when it's a half-day session, the children normally bring snacks. Are you going to eliminate that? And then the third thing is, are you going to have those water fountains closed too? My son personally, I never allowed my kids to drink from it, but the kids get thirsty, they forget a water bottle or whatever it is. But of course, that's not exactly the cleanest thing right now. So just wondering how those things are going to be handled.
Definitely common things like water fountains are going to be shut down. But I guess we're going to have to figure out a way to make sure we do have water available to everyone. I know we can request that parents bring in water bottles, and we're going to have a backup plan just in case. For example, I know in the high school lockers, we're not going to be giving them out right away because there's just going to be too many kids touching them and they can't social distance. And mask is, we are talking about that, but students would be required to wear them to school, to the classroom when moving around the buildings, and in classrooms when they couldn't socially distance. So, but anytime they came into a building, they'd be required to wear one. When they walked to the classroom, they'd be required to wear one. But yes, that is something we are strongly considering.
Thank you.
Bizzy?
Hi.
Hello.
BC Rocket Ball, 119 Homestead Place. First, I'd like to make a comment about the virtual period, the distance learning period that we had earlier this year. And I would like to say I understand that that had to be incredibly difficult to pull together with such a short time frame. With that said, it got better and better and less bumpy with each day, with each week. And like the previous parent said, I felt like I was in constant contact with Ms. Misa and my son's teachers, and I felt that it went much better than I had panicked for when we found out that school was closing. So I appreciate all of that. After listening to everything that you have planned and the things that you're planning on working on in the weeks to come, one thing I'd like to hope that gets thought of is that source material, either in file format or somehow be shared with parents where possible, so that we can follow along. Because if these classes are going to be streamed, I know that for our home, our Wi-Fi was taxed. And there were days where, I would have to not get on conference calls for work because the Wi-Fi needed to support schooling. If the source material, was somehow shared with the parents ahead of time, or even, weeks out, however far out we can have it, that would be so very helpful, just so that we can keep up.
Okay, thank you for that. I just want to write it down so I don't forget these things. Yeah, we could definitely do that. The one thing that we will have now too is, like, when students left, we really thought we were leaving for 2 weeks and we were going to be right back. And we were kind of thrown for a loop when they said you'd be out for the rest of the year. And then you couldn't, it was a stay-at-home order. We couldn't even get teachers back into the building to hand out things because he put a stay-at-home order. So
I completely understand. I completely understand. Like I said, I was stressed about it, and each week, each day, as we got through obstacles, I was less and less stressed about it. So if we did have the ability to change something about it, it would be that I had the material to know in advance. Like the summer packets are much easier to manage because we're able to view it and go along with them. So something similar would work wonders.
Okay, thank you. Mendez? Hello?
This is Marlene Mendez. I'm 144 East Main Street, Bogota. My daughter, she's on XP. And first of all, I want to say thank you, especially to Ms. Hall. She was wonderful during these last months. And I just want to say, like, if we need to keep children at home, I think it's going to be better for them and also for the staff. And as far as been seeing the way you are proposing the cohort groups, I'm probably mistaken getting the know of this, but it seems like the same professor will have like a children's virtually and also will have children's at a classroom. And I think it's gonna be kind of difficult at the same time having like a children's face-to-face on your classroom and having children's on your virtually. It's like there is not gonna be enough concentration either for the professor doing this virtually and keep attention to the children's during the classroom. I don't know if you understand my point.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I would say from our standpoint, our teachers, it will be definitely a change for them. We don't like them standing in one space. We like them moving around. We like them grouping up kids and working with groups of kids and having. So we're trying to help them as best as we can. So the idea is you will have 3 different groups still going, and you have one group in front of you working while another group is doing something online, but everyone's connected. So again, not the perfect scenario, but we're going to continue to make adjustments as we go through this.
Exactly, and my point is like that either way we take, we made sure like the teachers are doing good because they have families as well, so we don't want to put too much stress on professors and at the same time for our students. Like probably they want to talk to the professor, but the professor is actually busy with the students in the classroom. Like Ms. Hall, she did a great job during this time but she was basically on all the time with the students online. She didn't have like, it's like having a child asking you at the same time when you have someone at the computer, but at the same time you have some time face to face asking you for something. It's gonna be, I think it's not gonna be the most ideal way to teach a student, and not the most ideal way the teachers can do their job.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just see a couple hands left, and I think we're Tasneem. Hello?
Yeah, hi, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi, my name is Tasneem Salam, 111 Palisade Avenue. I have a couple of questions. One question is for the desk, what are you guys planning to do for the desks in the classrooms? Are you planning to separate them, like keep them 3 feet apart?
Yeah, the plan is right now we're social distancing in classrooms wherever possible. Each room has a capacity size, and we have how many key students we can fit in there before you have to start putting barriers up. So each room is unique, but we do have sneeze guards for the kids that they will be behind something, and the teacher will have the ability to behind something too. But like I said, each room is measured out, and according to the guidelines, desks will be spread out in that room so kids are not on top of one another.
And my second question is, if by chance like the teachers like opt to not come to school to teach, they want to teach from home online, how does that work for the kids who will be coming to school?
Well, that's a unique situation that we're actually going through right now, because there are teachers can request accommodations right now, and accommodations, one of them can be to teach remotely from home. And with elementary and high school, that poses two different problems. Elementary, it gets a little tougher because kids are moving around, but we are trying to keep some common areas available for students to be in, and can be working virtually with their teacher from home. But teachers are in the process of filling out paperwork now, and they have to have all type of documentation, and then we have to figure out how we can accommodate our teachers and staff to keep them safe as well. So I know I have one or two teachers I want to take a leave of absence for the whole year because they think with their children it's going to be too much to work remotely and help their children at home. So we're going through that right now. So we might have to hire some more aides to keep in classrooms so that we have students being monitored and also helped.
What if we also opt for kids not going for a whole year? Can they also do a whole year of remote learning?
As of right now, that's what the governor said, yes. I'm hoping that there's a vaccine, and I'm hoping this calms down in January or February. I hope this is not a whole year we're doing this, but the DOE tells us what we can and cannot do. So as long as it's okay with them, then we would have no choice but allow students to do that, and families.
Okay, my last question is, for the kids who will be going to school with with the whole supply list, and so they will not be able to use the lockers, how are they going to carry those load around from classroom to classroom?
We're going to probably have to lighten the load, but for 7th and 8th grade, they're only going to be going to 3 periods in the morning and then 3 periods in the afternoon. So,
but they still have to bring all the supplies?
I don't think they would have to bring them all because it's only going to be 3 classes in the morning. So you'd only need stuff in a book bag to carry for those 3 classes. And then the other classes will happen remotely. Then the next day, those 3 classes that you did online, you'll do in person the next day so that the teacher sees the kids once a week at least for each class.
Thank you very much.
We'll try Connie one last time.
On.
You're here?
How did you finally get me on?
You're on.
Yo, right. Mr. Kennedy, you had stated before that you're trying to work with the borough to have the children who are going to be off on that day and they're going to go to another location to work virtually, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Are you going to be having, or are you going to be hiring aides? I'm assuming you're going to be hiring aides to help those kids get through the virtual class. I mean, they're not going to be sitting in a room alone, I'm sure. So
No,
are you hiring aides?
that's what we're discussing now, how we'd be able to help parents out and do that. Yes, so it would have to be an aide in that classroom or a teacher that was free, or, you know, we would have to figure out who we could put there to help students during that time.
During the time that they're going to be off, but still working virtually.
Correct.
Excellent. Thank you.
Monica.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone. Monica Narai, 99 West Fortley Road. So I have a couple of questions. My daughter will be going into 4th grade. I'm assuming the kids are still moving up into their respective grades as if they were in school, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you said something about all the kids being assigned to Chromebooks from the district for their distance learning. So that means they wouldn't be able to use what they've been using previously?
We prefer that they're going to use our district devices because we have a lot more power on them. So now when a teacher's sitting at home and the class is working, if the students, they can pull up now an app where they could see what tabs the kids have open. So they're not playing around doing something else and monitoring what they're doing, and to help them as well because they could see what they're on.
Okay. And my next question is, usually in the past, the package will be mailed home and we get the supply list and what teachers they'll be having when they go into the next grade. Would that still be happening?
Yes, teachers and cohorts will definitely be out, and supply lists. I am definitely going to talk to my administrators about that and make sure that we are not purchasing a ton of things right now that the kids are not going to be able to use, and just what we got to do to get the year started. So I would imagine by the second week in August, everyone should get a packet from their school with teacher names and their cohorts, and just any information that will be necessary at that time, and supplies that will be needed. But hand sanitizer, I guarantee will be on that list.
Okay. I had another question, but I kind of lost it. And for the virtual kids, would there be, how would you guys be able to figure that out? Would there be, like how we had the survey to fill out a few weeks ago? Would there be some sort of a survey or something so we fill out if we would like to opt out and have just virtual learning? And would
Yes.
virtual be offered for the whole entire school year or just partially?
We should be sending out an email. We're working on it now. It's going to be specific, not just for every child in your family that you want to opt out. We're going to want to know that so that we can work on our class lists and our cohorts. And as long as the governor and the DOE allow you to work virtually, you will be allowed to do so. You know, they might come to a point and say everyone back in the building in March or in January or October. I don't know. I can't speak on that. But once they say you have to come back, then you would have a choice if you didn't if you didn't want your kid to come back, and we would let you know what your choices are if you didn't want to send them back to school. But I don't think they would push kids back to school until they felt it was very safe.
And I do have another question actually, because due to the whole circumstances, I have been out of work and I'm being forced to make some decisions that because of financial issues. Now, my question is, in regards to like transfers, how would I be able, like if I would have to move, how would I be able to handle transfers? If let's say if I have to move and I would have to transfer my daughter out to another school.
It's not hard to do. You just contact your school and they would set up a time and you'd be able to drop off stuff. I mean, we do have in-person contact right now, so I'm not worried about that, but it could be done virtually too if need be.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Let's see. Marcial?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Robert Marcial, 349 Leone Avenue. I have two quick questions. One question, I know you were talking about that there's 3 different phases to this, and we're going to start with phase 1 and then be able to, obviously, God willing, things get better, go to phase 2. Let's say if that was to happen, but unfortunately, just with the climate and everything, let's say New Jersey changes, what would dictate a change going forward to phase 3, or even, unfortunately, back into a phase 1?
That's strictly, I would say, on the numbers, and that's going to be from the governor and the DOE telling us when we can do a lot more. So we pretty much just get guidelines of how we can open school, and that's what we're doing right now. But I imagine when indoor dining and things like that happen, we'll be able to move along as well. I just think at first everyone wants to be cautious and not push students and staff back into a building right away until we really know what can and cannot happen. So I think we're going to see some other states open up before us, and we're going to get a lot of information from that. But it would always be like, for example, the flu comes out every year, and there's times where we're close to shutting down a building because a large number of the population has been sick. So I would imagine if there's an outbreak or if there's a lot of positive cases and it spreads, then that would shut down the district or a building, pending on numbers at all times.
And just to kind of piggyback off of that, because I actually agree with you, let's say if it's a neighboring town that gets hit a lot harder, let's say, than Bogota, will that dictate the change in phases as well?
I would say the Department of Health would give us more of that call because we wouldn't be made aware of that. But the Department of Health is who we've been in contact with, and that's who would contact us if they felt that we should close or if they felt there was a problem at the time. So I would say that's totally, like, we can't close a school. I could call a snow day if we thought there was a problem, but we can't close we can't say we're going to have a virtual day like 5 days a week right now if we wanted to. That would be, we would have to get approval for that.
Got it. And second question, just in reference to virtual learning, I know it takes a lot of time for the teachers to kind of get everything situated. I know a couple of the parents or teachers said earlier that it might be a little bit beneficial if we can kind of, as parents, assist. So I think if we can get some type of curriculum, maybe on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis, it will take a lot of pressure off of the teachers and have the parents assist, so then there's less of a learning curve for some of the students. So I don't know if that's something that you guys are planning, but I think that might be beneficial. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, I agree with that. We're looking at how we can help parents help the students at home more, and we will be preparing PD for them. It might not be a bad idea to put parents in cohort and keep them in touch with one another as well. Like I said earlier, I believe this is going to be a community effort to get through this. And the one thing I know about Bogota is they come together when they have to. So that might require class parents getting together and saying, hey, I have to work today. Can you take my 2 kids and can we work this out together? So that's something I talk to our PTO presidents about, and that's something that I'm going to push out to my principals, start pushing out to the community about how they can work together to help one another during this time. And hopefully we get all these kids back in the building sooner than later.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry, I know I had 2, but real quick, I know you said you were providing Chromebooks to everybody. Does that include kindergarten?
Yes, it will include everybody right now, even pre-K. We will have to provide something because if they have to be virtual, they have to be able to see their teacher and stuff. So yes, I believe in a couple of weeks in August, we're setting up a deployment for students who did not receive a Chromebook yet and go from there.
Thank you.
Last hand up I see is Iverson.
Yes. Ivor Everson, 408 Larch Avenue. I have two questions. One, the students who have the high temperatures or that are feeling ill, that go to the isolation room, will they all be put in the same room? And the second, okay.
Okay. Well, at this point, yes, but once they go into that room, they would have masks and they would have face shields and things of that nature. That's what we're told we could do right now because we only have so many rooms in the building. We can't shut down all these rooms if students have fevers.
Okay. And the second one, the students who opt out, the parents have them opt out of. Will they do 2 virtual sessions, 3 classes in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, or will they just do the afternoon like everybody else?
No, they would be, whether you're in the classroom or at home, you're going to be logged in all day with that teacher. So if that teacher has class 8:20 to 9:10, whether you're sitting in front of them or at home, you're going to have to be logged on and in touch with that teacher because the teacher now will be able to stream some of their classroom. We got them all document cameras, and they're going to be able to do a lot more things on that to help relay information to students. But it also is a better thing of them. You could see them at a board even too if they wanted to be at a board or work off a little whiteboard in front of them. So 100% students will be required to be logged in, whether at home or in school for the time those classes are. It will not be any different, except you'll be sitting in front of a teacher in the classroom or sitting in front of a teacher at home in a Chromebook.
Thank you.
One more hand came up. Bernie?
Yeah, sorry. I had another question. On the temperature taken, I've been working on this for my company in New York since March. Are the teachers and the staff going to be required to fill out a self-certification form? Is that mandated in New Jersey? Along with the taken?
It's not mandated, but they're going to be given strict questions each morning that they have to answer themselves and do a self-check at home, and then we could do a temperature check when they come in. But, you know, we are going to err on the side of caution. We're going to ask parents, we're going to ask teachers, if you do not feel good, please do not come to school because we will be sending you home. So it's important that everyone's on the same page and understands that from the get-go so that we do not bring it into the building if we don't have to.
Just the second part of that, I know that you had said the teachers are going to have full PPE with the mask and face shields. Did you also include that they're going to wear robe or protective gear?
That's when they're doing the screenings in the morning.
Okay, all right. Would that, for some of the younger children, that might just scare them off if they think that's the doctor they're going to. That's just a suggestion. Think about that. So, all right, thank you.
Olivo.
Hi, Trina Olivo, 228 Maplewood Avenue. You just mentioned, Mr. Kennedy, that if someone's not feeling well, that you would hope that they would stay home. If the parent is with that child and ask them to sign on virtually, would they be able to do that to get, to omit having an absence?
Oh, 100%. If they are not feeling good and we're asking them to stay at home to self-quarantine, anything they're doing from home, they can log on from home that day then. Yes, 100%.
Okay, they won't need permission then before doing so? Like, when they're calling out.
Calling in sick and not feeling well that day, we will allow them to log on virtually and get to work in it. But if they don't feel good and they want to take the day, then they could take the day.
Of course. And then my second question would be about the uniforms, school uniforms. I know that something went out with our vendor, a date with us being able to purchase them. For some families that do not have any new, that are going into a new grade or something, or starting a new school, if they're financially having hardships, how is that going to be handled where are they going to be required to have to wear the uniforms?
We've actually been throwing this around the last couple of days, and the one thing that we do have in each building is a stockpile of things. So we were going to reach out to the PTO parents presidents and let them know that if anyone has a hardship, that we'd be able to help them out to start the year off. I don't know if it's easier for parents to buy, 1 or 2 uniforms or buy, 4 or 5 different outfits because their child's not going to want to wear the same thing to school every day if it's not a uniform. So it's something that we keep talking about. We don't know if it's easier for them just to have, 1 pair of pants and 2 shirts to get through the start of the year, or are they going to want to wear, have 3 or 4 different outfits to start the year. So it's something that we're definitely talking about, and we're going to have more communication with PTO parents to let them know that anyone that has a hardship problem, we could get them uniforms because we have a stockpile.
I know a lot of the parents and PTO moms have already done swaps. I've seen it on Facebook a lot throughout the year. And, some of them even have it where they'll have it for $1 and the money gets donated to the PTOs. So that can continue, and that would be great for everybody.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
And then just one more question about the classrooms. When we were filling out our survey, I did mention, I know another mom or another parent did bring this up about our classroom air quality. And you mentioned you already having it set up where the kids are going to be able to social distance and not wear masks. Is that what I heard?
We're doing our best in rooms for them not to social distance and not have to wear a mask when they're sitting at their desk. When they get up from their desk, they'll be required to wear it. But if they're at their desk, they'll have the sneeze guard that they'll be able to sit down there and have that sneeze guard in front of them as well.
Okay. All right. I got it. Thank you.
Susan Cruz. Susan? I'll see if anyone else has a hand up. Susan's unmuted. Can you hear me? I'm just looking at some of the questions that were posted. So the school bus we're able to social distance on, so we'll be able to make those runs. That's not going to be a problem. It's not a lot of kids that take our bus to come to our schools. Will parents have an option to have their children attend school 5 days a week? Not to start the year. Yeah, so we talked about uniforms. We're going to have a decision on that very quickly. The first day of school is supposed to be, it's on the agenda tonight. It's going to be a Wednesday, and I believe that's September 9th or 8th. And whether we're going to be virtual or in person to start that first week, we haven't made a decision yet, but we'll let you know within a week. Let me see.
Mr. Kennedy, somebody wanted to know if they will be able to get the curriculum for the year for the virtual learning that was in the chat room. I got emailed.
For the whole year?
Or for marking period.
I think we could probably do a weekly basis, 2 weeks at a time. I think it's hard to go further than 2 weeks out because of things coming up, but I think we're going to do a much better job getting more information out to parents now, and we're getting a lot better virtually to work from home if we have to.
Okay, and one more question was, will the parents have an option to have their child attend 5 days a week? I said no, right?
Not right now, not yet, no. Right now, it's the 2 days a week to start the year. If we go to phase 2, we're hoping to go to 3 to 4 days a week, and then hopefully 5 days a week.
Okay, that was all that was in the chat room that they wanted.
All right, let me just see. Oh, another hand went up. Mahia. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Kennedy. Andrea Mejia, 143 Walnut Avenue. My question was if the kids can wear polos that are not, you know, like that they don't have the logo from the school and are still the same color of the school uniform, because sometimes you can find those cheaper opposed to trying to buy the new uniforms from the school district.
I mean, it's something that we could talk about, but like I said, we have a lot of uniforms available at schools that you could purchase for a cheaper price than purchasing from the vendor.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. I think I answered everybody's questions. Oh, more hands went up. I don't know if I'm just going to lower everyone's hands. I see names that I spoke to already. So if you still have another question, please raise it, because I'm just lowering hands because I answered questions for you, and I don't know if I lowered your hand. Oh, let me see. Sandra? Sandra?
Yes,
Hello.
Sandra Ospina, 2 West Grove Street. On regards to the face masks, my daughter has asthma, so she has a hard time keeping her mask on. She starts to get frustrated, lightheaded, all of the above. I noticed that they sell those shields now, like at CVS. Would those be acceptable for the kids to wear? It's like those plastic shields that go right over their face.
That I would have to double check on. Obviously, it'd be better than not. But if the child does have a medical condition, then a doctor can write a note that they are not required to wear a mask. So I should have mentioned that earlier. But if there's a doctor's note saying they don't have to wear one, and we would find out if a face shield. A face shield would be better than nothing. So.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yeah.
At the hospital, you can either wear a face shield or a mask. So I believe that probably would be acceptable.
Okay.
For the face shield. So.
See, we were told face shields were not appropriate. Were not good enough for staff. Staff has to wear face coverings, not a face shield.
Okay.
But that's what the guidance we got so far. I think Antoinette. Antoinette?
Yes, Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I just thought of something else when you were talking about, you know, if a child comes in sick. But there's 2 things that came to mind I just wanted to ask you about. If a child goes to school and they're fine, we know every once in a while children do, you know, come to school, you're fine, and then during the day may run a fever. And typically that child would be sent home and they have to be fever-free for at least 24 hours before coming back. In order for them to come back now, will they need a doctor's note, or would the same protocol stand that after 24 hours of fever-free, they can come back? And then my other question is, there are a lot of kids that have allergies. And, you know, I have one at home who sneezes and coughs all the time, even though they take allergy medication. Is this something where, you know, a doctor's note would be provided so that staff and other families know that there isn't anything else to worry about? I don't know if that's been discussed yet.
We are still waiting for specific guidance on that, because one of the things, like, I have to be honest with you, each 3 days a new study comes out and they say, well, universal screening's not good because you're going to flag a lot of kids that are not sick. So 100% we're looking into all that. We hope to have guidance on that shortly, but again, this is guidance from the DOE and the health department that tells us exactly what to do when this situation comes up. A student gets a fever at school. They're going to tell you to go home for 10 days, and that's what we're going to tell you have to do. And you're going to have a doctor's note coming back saying that you are okay to come back. If that's what the protocol is, that's what we're going to have to follow. But that will all be relayed to everyone before the school year begins, and everyone's going to know exactly what it is: fever, allergies, and things of that nature. 100%, because I have allergies myself. So sneezing, like if I go to the store, I'm afraid to cough.
Yep.
It's a scary moment, but agreed 100%. But we will have information on that sooner than later, I hope.
Thank you.
Mr. Kennedy, I have one more question sent to me. If a teacher gets to school and doesn't feel well and goes home, what happens to their class?
Well, that's our next step, is figuring out how we can prepare virtual subs and things of that nature that we're going to be able to do. So that's going to happen. That's just a matter of fact. So we will have a plan in place of how we could work with those students that day, whether we, we tie in another teacher or two to work with those kids that day, but we will have something in place for September for all these situations.
Okay. And there's one more question. Somebody wants to know if the Board of Ed meetings are going to be in person soon. That's my goal.
I think we would like to be in person, but we have to make sure everyone is safe. So fitting into the cafeteria, we could probably get into the gym, but we can't share microphones. There's a lot of different things that have to be worked out. But we will see moving forward. Our next meeting is scheduled for the end of August, so we will know by then where we're at. So I see some questions about preschool, and preschool has a whole different set of rules because they stay together all day with the teacher. So the preschool classes, I want to say, I think there's 15 total in each preschool class, and maybe it goes up to 18. So they will be cut in half, but they do have specific rules that the other school, K through 12, do not. So we are following up on that, and there will be more information for preschool parents soon as we work through this. If you're no rush, get kids in class, because we're following the guidelines. So right now, you're allowed to be in pods. You started with 10 2 weeks ago, and now you're allowed to pods of 30. So we're following the NJSAIA rules and the procedures where they had to get through 2 weeks of phase 1, with no positive cases coming out, that they would be allowed to move to phase 2, which would allow indoor practices. But that we're following the NJSIAA guidelines that we have been doing. But I think the big difference is you're not pushing, 250 kids into a building where hallways and entrances and exits. You could do a lot better job social distancing with 20 to 30 kids. Do they have the option to say no? Yes, 100%. I don't see any more hands raised, so. But if any, oh wait, last hand, I think. Laura?
Hi, everybody. Sorry to butt in again, but I just want to point out how many questions we still have about everybody's safety here in this meeting. I know that there are at least 3 school districts who have said we can't get this together on time. We're waiting until the first trimester is over. We're having all virtual school until then because we can't answer these questions. If we can't answer the simple question of how do we bathroom kids, without them contaminating each other, I think we're at a point where we have to say this is insane. And you're also, and I know I'm going down into the potty here, teachers will have to teach for 5 hours without going to a bathroom. I don't even think that's allowed. I don't think that's legal. You know, if nobody can go to the bathroom for 5 hours, children included, we don't have enough custodians to clean the bathroom after each kid uses it. We don't know what we're going to do if a kid shows up at the door who has a temperature, if they've been in our class, if we all have to go home, if we have to quarantine. Just so many questions still. So I'm just begging you to understand that we're not ready. And there are so many teachers who are scared. We may not have, conditions that would give us an accommodation, but we may have loved ones at home who do. But we're not allowed to get accommodations because we live with someone who's immune compromised. We're not allowed, if we have little kids at home, to stay at home. This is just I don't know, very worrisome. But I do thank you all for your time and for thinking about this so hard and for all your hard work.
The only problem right now is we're not allowed to offer only virtual. That question has been asked and we've been told no. So we're being told you have to figure it out. So I think once we get more guidance from the DOE, we have a plan that's ready to go. But it will be a working plan. So, but right now we don't have an option just to say we want to go all virtual. The state is not giving us that option. The county is not giving us that option. I do think things are going to change in the next couple of weeks. I see a lot more people coming out against this, but we can only prepare from what the information we have. And right now we're told you have to offer in-person instruction right now. You cannot go all virtual. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Got another hand. Cruz.
Hello.
Cruz? Yes.
Maria Cruz, 107 South Street. Mr. Kennedy, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have done a wonderful job. I shall tell the board that you should feel very fortunate to have the superintendent that you have, who has been in constant communication with the parents. And not only that, very transparent in everything that he is putting together. I haven't met him personally, but with constant communication that he has with the parents, I could tell you, I work in a school district that we are not even halfway done. And I know his hands are tied and we would all love to stay remotely and be safe. But at the end of the day, we have the governor who is the one who makes the decisions. So I think, Mr. Kennedy, you have done a wonderful job. The board, you could have picked the best superintendent that you have. I could tell you that you are very fortunate, and my kids are very fortunate to have him as a superintendent of Pagoda. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, but this is a big team effort. The board has been very supportive of what we're trying to do. I have a great administration team, my principals, my vice principals, and they all, and our teachers and our staff and everyone. It's been one team effort from day one, and there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good things, making this thing work. So, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I could tell you from my son who, just finished 8th grade, with my little one who finished 5th grade with Miss Squanage. I mean, wonderful teachers you have, constant communication on top of the students. If my older one didn't log on, the teachers were calling to make sure for him to log on. So I think you have, like you said yourself, you have a wonderful administration, and that comes from the leadership that you demonstrate. So it comes from the top. So thank you once again.
Thank you. I don't see any hands up, so it might be a good one to end on. I don't see any other hands up, so I think we can move on to the board meeting.
Okay, are you keeping everybody on mute or are you taking them off?
I'll take off mute now. I think everyone can take themselves off.
Yeah. Hey, honey, ya voy a estar a mí.
Okay, we're gonna go and continue with the minutes, approval of minutes for June 9th, work session, regular meeting, open and closed session. June 16th, regular, open, and closed session. Can I have a motion? Pat, can I have a second? Second, Maureen. Any discussion?
One second, please. Kathy, 1 second, please.
Okay.
I left something sitting at home on my front door. I didn't get those minutes. I don't have those minutes. I didn't get anything virtual. I looked back.
Okay.
Nothing came with the agenda or anything. Could we just table them for now? Next month?
We could table them. I got them in, but we could table them. Can I have a motion to table?
When did you get them? When did you get them?
Friday.
I looked back.
With the packet packet in the mail?
I wasn't home Friday. On the state. If they came in packet, I don't have them. I'd appreciate if we could table them to the August meeting so I have a chance.
Okay, can I have a motion to table?
A motion to table?
Kathy, can I-
This is terrible. We need to mute again.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, can't hear anything.
I think you have to mute yourself, and then when you gotta unmute.
Okay.
So I'm gonna mute everyone.
Okay.
I'm gonna mute.
Okay, Jim made the motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Maureen second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion to table the minutes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we're gonna move on to policy 7/28/2001. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Pat, can I have a second?
Second, Amanda.
Amanda? Any discussion?
Wait, so if you mute us, there's a quick fix. If you press the space bar, it'll unmute you temporarily. Can we all try to do that? Because we're all echoing and it's very difficult.
Terrible. Yeah.
So if you hit the space bar when you want to speak, it will temporarily unmute you.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna try that. Everyone's muted, so try hitting the space bar.
It's working.
Okay, this, a motion for.
Again.
Okay.
How did they get up?
Good.
All
Are
right.
we having discussion or are you going back to the motion?
Lizzie, do you have the motion? Okay, let's do it again. Can I have a motion for policy?
Pat McHale and Amanda.
Okay, Pat McHale and Amanda, okay. Any discussion?
Is the discussion about the motion or the next set that we're voting on?
We're gonna vote on policy. Irfin, can you call the roll?
Mrs. Alvarez,
Yeah.
Mrs. Kearns,
I just had a question about 03.
We're not on that yet. We're on policy.
Policy.
Okay. I see it. Okay. Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. McHale,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Buren,
Yes.
Miss Montgomery,
Yes.
Mrs. Coles.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Okay, we'll move on to education, 7/28/2002 to 7/28/2003. Can I have a motion? Pat? Can I have a
Second, Amanda.
Amanda?
That was Jim.
All right, Jimmy, and then Amanda. Any discussion?
Yes, and I'm sorry about that. I'm having such a hard time hearing. I was just curious if you could talk about what phase 2 is going to look like for '03.
So phase 2, the difference is, first phase 1, you had to complete 2 weeks of phase 1, where students were in cohorts of about 10, and they were allowed to work together for the 2 weeks. After that 2 weeks was up, that was all conditioning. It wasn't a lot of sharing of equipment. It was temperature checks and everything. Phase 2 allows students and teams to practice inside. They're allowed to use the weight room. They're allowed to have small practices inside as well. So, but phase 2 had to be approved by the district. So we had a board meeting. So I said, this is perfect for the board to allow this if they plan to do so.
Are they still limiting the size of the cohort? Like, will it be 10 athletes, or will it be more than that?
I believe now when you go to phase 2, because those groups work, the groups are allowed to come together now. So now 30 students would be allowed, 25 to 30 students would be allowed in a cohort. With social distancing where possible, face mask, temperature check, doing everything they did in phase 1. That's where it's at.
And is there a time limit on how long they can be in the space for?
Yeah, I think they're limited to 2 hours total with a 10-minute warm-up and a 10-minute cool-down. I think they can only practice, I think 6 out of 7 days. But the NJSA has at least guidance on what they can and cannot do.
Will
But
they
the difference is going inside now, or you're allowed to use the weight room, which what they haven't been allowed to do.
Will they have
With it becomes limited with how many people in the whole yard. Basketball already started. Not only that, I see no reason not to let this happen. To move to phase 2 according to the state. And I know the high school people, but we have to let these kids go on. I'm sorry.
I couldn't understand that. I don't know if anyone.
No, I couldn't
Now you have
understand
to
it.
mute yourself. Italian's not muted.
Just a quick question, will they have temperature checks?
Yes. Temperature checks and they still have to do a questionnaire each morning before they show up. If they've been in contact with anyone, if they travel, every morning they got to fill out paperwork.
Gotcha.
Guys, it's been approved by the NJSA. The team is doing it. Basketball is doing it. I mean, believe me, I don't want to be but you can't stop it. You gotta let it keep going. Otherwise, the football anyway.
No se le entiende.
I can't understand him at all.
I think Jim is I think he's saying that in phase 2, you're allowed to start indoors.
The NJSA approved it. We should let it go on. I have no idea why you don't understand what I'm saying. But we have let the students play on. If we want to squeeze it for breath, we have to keep moving forward. I'm sorry.
It's not that we don't understand what you're saying, Jim. It's your connection. We physically can't hear you.
I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm here.
I guess in a nutshell, it seems like you're in favor of it.
It gives us the option to allow them to go back into the gym and get back some normalcy, but it's going to be monitored if it is approved on what they cannot and cannot do.
I guess I'm just a little apprehensive about it because I mean the NJ Pack or one of those collegiate level teams, they just postponed their season. You've got the Florida baseball team that continue, like more guys are getting sick every day. I'm just really worried that I know the outside, the fresh air really helps, keep the virus from spreading. And then as soon as we move it indoors, it's very nerve-wracking. And then they're sharing the equipment. Are they going to be wearing masks?
Yeah.
They will be, yes, following the same procedures when they have to. We do have a couple of some new equipment that we're using too, though, for disinfecting and for having certain the radiation from the radiator. We have those machines now that help kill all airborne viruses. So,
like, is there any study on like sweat and I mean droplets when we sneeze spread it? Does sweat spread it? I mean, I don't
know.
Jim just called me on the phone because I know you guys can't understand him. He said that we're following all the protocols that came out from the state as far as phase 2. That's what he's been trying to say. So Darubo's following the guidelines as far as, all sports. So, I mean, it's just basically.
I did ask Mr. Darubo to make sure the coaches reached out to the players if this past night and tell the parents that they have the ability to practice indoors, but they also have the ability not to send their kid to practice if they felt it wasn't safe.
I just don't want to see any child, say they don't show up because the parents don't want them to show up to practice, that not be held against them, from whatever. But the thing that I don't understand, Mr. Kennedy, from say the governor, he doesn't open the gyms in the state because of the germs, but you can open a gym in a school and have like 25 kids in a gym. That's what I don't understand, but I'm only a board of ed member.
I know we still can't eat indoors. I don't know. I'm very apprehensive about this.
But that's just my concern. I get that that's what he's doing, but he kind of talks out of both sides of his mouth. So
yeah, I just don't want to delay the start of school to begin with before we can even start.
And I think like the weight room is very small. I think, just maybe we can, have to limit the number of people in there. Like, I mean, practices in the gym, I guess one thing, it's definitely more spread out, but I mean, the weight room is close and breathing on each other.
I agree with Eileen with the weight room. I think we should have a limit of how many kids. Mr. Kennedy, are you there?
I couldn't hear what?
I said the weight room. Can you kind of limit it to a certain amount of kids at a time in the weight room?
Yeah, I think right now the idea is not to really use the weight room, but it does give us the option to use it. But it's like, for example, if there's chance of thunder and lightning, then the football team can't do anything because they got nowhere to go.
Right.
They're outdoors. So this would allow them to get in the gym with the numbers in the small pods. They would have to follow the procedures. I met with them last week to go over everything to make sure they knew, but I told them how to be board approved before moving forward.
Okay, anybody else? No? Okay, Irfan, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Alvarez,
This is for 02 and 03, right?
This is 2 and 3, yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Kearns,
Yes for 2, but no for 3.
Mrs. Lewis?
I'm going to say yes for 2 and no for 3. I think, maybe we can revisit it in a couple weeks and see how things go.
Mr. McHale?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes for 2, no for 3. Revisit.
Mr. Moore? Mrs. Van Buren?
Yes for 2, no for 3, and yes to revisit.
Miss Montgomery?
Yes for 2, no for 3, and let's revisit.
Mrs. Coles?
I'm going to say yes. For both, but for 3, I would like the gym to be a limit on how many people go in.
Right now we have 5 no for number 3, so it's not carried. So the number 2 is carried now.
Okay. Move on to personnel, 7/28/2004 to 7/28/2007. Can I have a motion?
So moved, Pat.
Pat, can I have a second?
Second.
Second, Amanda. Any discussion?
There's just the one change is on 06, correct?
Correct. We're taking out community and parent involvement specialist. No discussion? Can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Alvarez?
Yes.
Mrs. Kearns?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McHale?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Buren?
Yes.
Miss Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Coles?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we'll move on to finance, 7/28/2008 to 7/28/2016. Can I have a motion?
So moved, Pat.
Pat? Jim? Any discussion? No
Yes.
discussion? Anybody?
Kathy, I'm sorry, I couldn't unmute.
Okay.
I have a question. On number 12 and 13, we voted on health insurance for the medical and the dental, and it was approved in May of May meeting, May 20th meeting, numbers 86 and 87. I believe those need to be rescinded before we can approve more insurance on top of what's already approved. I don't mind the fact that there's something to be approved, but we already have something that we did approve. So I believe.
As far as I understood, you're asking for number 12 and 13, right?
Yes, she is.
Number 12 is a new plan.
Yes, I'm fine with 12 and 13.
Both of them based on the new BEA agreement. Number 12 is the new Direct Zero plan, effective August 1st. Number 13, the Delta, it is revised because they increased the 1,000 limit to the 800 limit to the $2,000. So it's the same plan. It's just the
I understand.
What was the question again? Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. In May, can you hear me?
Yes, in May.
Can you hear me?
We approved Horizon and the Delta Dental in May, correct?
It's just another plan we're adding to that.
In my opinion, I believe we need to rescind them. No, we're not. We're changing the Delta plan. We approved one Delta plan in May. I think they have to be rescinded so that the new ones can be put in place. Otherwise, we're duplicating what we're approving. You want me to type it in the message thing? Would that make more sense? I just think we need to rescind 86 and 87, and now these 12 and 13 will be our insurance. What we approved in May is no longer the insurance plan we're going to use, so it should be rescinded.
With the
Otherwise,
health
it's still
insurance,
standing. People
with
can
the
still get
health,
it.
with the health insurance, it's not the case. It's the number 12 is the addition. We are not rescinding anything for the health insurance. And the number 13, it says revised. If Natanya says that we need to rescind the previous one, let's rescind that. But since it is revised, I believe it is replacing the previous one.
It doesn't say it's revised. If it said it was revised or if it was updating what was already approved, I'd be good with it. But to me, this is an addition to what we approved in May, isn't it? Hang on, let me see. I could be reading it.
Team does say there's a revision.
Revised, you're right. Okay. I just need revised. All right. Are we offering any of these anymore? What we approved in May, are we offering any of those?
In May, the health insurances, we are offering all of them. Yes. And we are adding this direct zero, this plan.
It's in addition to all of this.
Yes.
It's all of this plus the zero. Okay, I thought it was replacing it. Thank you, all of that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry. I'm good.
Roll call. Any questions?
You can call the roll.
Mrs. Alvarez?
Yes.
Mrs. Kearns?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Makia?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore? Mr. Moore?
He's muted.
He's on the phone.
He's on the phone. He's muted.
Mr. Moore?
Yeah.
Thank you. Mrs. Van Buren?
Yes, except on number 8. Number 8 on the bill list. No on 025243.
Mrs. Van Buren, this is only one bill. You're saying no?
Yes, on the one bill, 025243. I can listen to their message if you want.
Okay. Ms. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Coles?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the addendum for personnel, 7/28/2017, 7/28/2018. Can I have a motion?
So moved, Pat.
Pat, can I have a second?
Second, Amanda.
Second, Amanda. Any discussion? No discussion. Erfan, can you call the roll?
No, Lisa, I'm sorry.
Okay, Kathy.
Carol, I'm having a hard time. 17 and 18?
Yes.
All right. Aren't we some sort of violation without a doctor? How can our sports be practicing without a doctor?
And we're trying to hire one. He just resigned on us. He retired.
I know, but yeah, I know. I heard he had. I was thinking a while ago, but how can we have sports operating if we don't have a doctor? Isn't that against sort of rule. I should think that the Department of Ed would have something to say about that. I don't know.
Well, we're trying to hire a new one, but I can't.
Maybe resign,
we
but
got-
I can't imagine how we can be doing something without a doctor.
But we're trying to hire a new one, but if a guy just retires on us, we have to go out. We're working on that now, so, but it's hard to find, doctors right now, to be honest with you. So we're doing our best, and we'll have something in soon, but, we had to have his resignation first before we can move forward. Try to get him to come back for a couple of months, but he doesn't have any insurance. So this is where we're at, but our goal is to post and try and get something, but I don't think doctors are looking for jobs online. So we're reaching out to other schools and seeing what we could do.
Okay, anybody else? Irfin, can you call the roll, please? Irfin?
Irfin, you're muted. There you go.
Mrs. Alvarez? Mrs. Kearns?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McHale?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Buren?
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Coles?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We'll move on to the addendum for finance, 7/28/2019. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Pat, can I have a second? Second by Jim. Any discussion? No discussion. Irfin, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Alvarez?
Yes.
Mrs. Kearns?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. McHale?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Buren?
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Coles?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We'll move on to committee reports. Does anybody have any committee reports? Okay, no committee reports. Does anybody have any old business? Okay, no old business. Does anybody have any new business? I don't know if this, Mr. Kennedy, as far as the face mask, do we as the board have to do some kind of a decision to require everybody to wear a face mask in school? Would that have to be voted on or discussed?
Yeah, probably.
I would like to make a motion that every child needs to wear a face mask in the school district. I feel comfortable with that.
Second by Kathy. Second by Kathy.
Was the motion on the floor? Can we
I second
Kathy seconded.
have a discussion? All right, any discussion?
Yeah, I just think that's really difficult for kids with special needs. Just advocating for students and especially the little kids.
Sabrina, would they be able to get the doctor note for that?
Yeah, would we have to do something with, Nathaniel?
Probably, but you're putting, I mean, that's a burden. That would be a burden to parents to have to go through, kind of jump through that hoop. I mean,
Well,
it's
I
just
think
something to consider.
No, I think we could look into special needs. Nathaniel could maybe jump in on this one. Nathaniel, are you there? Is she on? Can we unmute Nathaniel?
There we go. I'm unmuted. Okay, what?
So I would like to
If we
see,
could please get them the day before our meeting?
I'm having a lot of difficulty hearing. What did you ask,
Okay,
Lisa?
Amanda, I put a motion on the floor. I would like to see
You
if we
and
could,
just the day before, we've asked this several times.
Could I?
It's not working.
Sounds like there's someone else on this call.
all right, hold on.
I can't hear what Lisa's asking me.
All right. Can you hear me?
Adelia, can you mute Adelia?
Yeah, she's muted.
I can hear you.
Someone,
Lisa, repeat the question, Lisa. I can hear you.
okay, so I put a motion on the table. I would like to make a motion that all students are required to wear a face mask. And I see Sabrina's concern.
I can't hear anyone.
Would there be any way children with special needs, we could somehow not put them in our resolution?
Well, I don't think you need a board resolution because the plan, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, is that everyone is supposed to be wearing masks unless there is social distancing.
Right.
Or, and there is an exception for the special education population, that in the event, in the event, I'm sorry, there is something else going on here. In the event that a student has a medical reason that they really can't wear a mask, we're going to have to take that on a case-by-case basis.
Right now, students are not required to wear a mask according to the plan. It is recommended, and when social distance can occur, they have to. But if social distance can occur, they do allow them not to wear a mask.
And that's why.
In other words, the plan allows for kids to be right next to each other with no mask.
No.
But they wouldn't be next to each other.
Only if they can't social distance, they have to wear a mask.
I mean, I'm sending my kids, I feel comfortable under the gumption that while they're at their seat, they can at the very least pull it down. They're going to have moments of breaks with it. For them to sit there the entire day, I'm personally not comfortable with it. I mean, we're doing it at the swim club. We walk in wearing masks. If you need to go to the bathroom, you wear a mask. If they have to walk around the classroom, your mask goes back on. But if they're seated at their desks and they're sneeze guards, I'm personally more comfortable with them not having to have it on the entire time.
But just one question, if they're not, so Sabrina, if they're not, like, say, social distance, like, are you meaning 6 feet apart and no sneeze guards? Are you safe with them not wearing a mask? That's all I'm questioning.
Well, I'm assuming, like, so my son's going into 5th. They're going to be seated at least every other seat, correct?
Okay.
There's at least a 6-foot radius around to get up and move, and, you know, which is obviously going to be extremely limited at this time. He would have to put it back on. But seated at his desk with his head down doing work, I don't know.
Okay, so you're okay with the fact that he walks in with it and he leaves the classroom with it, but once he's sitting, he can pull it down, and they're going to have those barriers, right? Which is understandable.
Correct.
Yeah, but all seats aren't going to have barriers, are they?
Yes.
They are? Every seat is going to have a barrier?
Every student will have one when social distancing is not allowed. So right now, students have to wear them when you can't social distance. So walking into the building, they need to wear it. Walking to the bathrooms, they need to wear it. Moving in and about the school, they have to wear it. They don't have, they could take, you know, one of the options you can have is that when they sit in their seat and they are social distancing and they have a barrier, then they can take it down.
That's what I'm saying, that if everyone understands, they have to wear a mask except if there is social distancing, correct? That's the either or. So really masks are required except under certain circumstances.
That's what we must say, and the school to do what it's supposed to.
I think, Jim, you got like 2 windows opened up or something.
I have a question.
You do the right thing, but follow procedure.
Jim's saying following procedure. I guess that's what he's saying, as long as they follow procedure.
Question.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Thank you. We keep talking masks. When we talk masks, what kind of masks are we talking about? Are we talking about like N95, the kind of protection that's both for the person and for the person next to them? I'm not talking about the little cotton thing that just you don't breathe in, because there's still an issue with that. So are these two-way protections, both for the wearer and person near them?
No, the face
That's
coverings
the
right
only-
now, the N95 we're looking at for teachers, but face coverings, we're asking students to bring in their own face coverings and have some available for those that don't have them.
Yeah, a child can't wear those N95s for 4 or 5 hours. There's no way.
All right, but the teachers will?
They'll be available to the teachers if they want them.
I mean, I'm fine as long as there's barriers. You know? Anybody else have any?
No.
Anybody else?
So do you want to keep the motion on the table or no?
No, I mean, I'm fine as long as there's barriers. I mean, as long as they follow. I know the teachers are really worried about it, and I want them to feel safe too. So,
yeah,
as long as they follow it, I'm fine with that. As long as they follow it. I mean, Kathy, you fine with that?
Yes, I am saying, yes, we can drop it as long as we're up, but I feel very strongly that the teachers, for their own protection, should have the N95.
Okay, I removed your motion then from the table.
So my understanding too is that teachers do have to wear them at all times now.
Okay.
I know, but the N95s are much more effective, both for the children in their classroom as well as for themselves. It's a two-way protection.
All right. We'll just keep an eye on it then. Healthy discussion. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Anybody else have any new business? Okay. No new business? Okay, can I have a motion to open up the public comment?
So moved.
Matt? Jim? Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, if anybody would like to come forward, just state your name and address. Okay, we have Vicky Shepherd. Vicky, you're on.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is just me. I'm a little concerned that all of a sudden the idea of kids not having to wear masks is going to become the norm. And I'll be honest, I'm 65, overweight with blood pressure and heart problems. I don't want to be the teacher that gets COVID. So, you know, if we couldn't somehow or another communicate that they are strongly recommended for their children. I think all teachers are planning to give their kids mask breaks, but I'm concerned now that parents may really think it's just optional. And that, I think, would cause great problems. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Antoinette? Antoinette, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Antoinette Ramirez, 98 Queen Anne Road. Thank you for bringing that up, Mrs. Coles. And I know everyone's going to have a different opinion, and I respect it. And I never go back and forth, but I just want to state my true concern. And granted, I know I have the option to keep my children home, which now, you know, I may change from sending them in, but we're indoors. I mean, when you go to a store now, you have to wear a mask. Whether you go to Target or the supermarket or the mall, you are required to wear a mask because it's indoors. outdoors, like such as the pool, I understand, and it's different, and there are different rules for outdoors. I mean, my daughter's doing cross country. She wears a mask to go there, she stretches, and then they keep it pulled down, but around their ears in case they have to pull it up while they're running. So I just wanted to explain why my concern of being in school, yes, the teachers will have it, but the sneeze guards, yes, they're wonderful, and I thank you for putting them up. I mean, I didn't know that, and so that's wonderful, but we're still indoors. And I agree with Ms. Shepherd. Whether it's strongly encouraged, mandated, I don't know what the right answer is. And again, trust me, I know I have the option to keep my kids and have them work from home, but I just really think that's got to be taken into consideration, that we're inside and it's just a whole nother ball game. So thank you for listening.
Mrs. Burney? I don't know where she went. Mrs. Burney, are you still there?
Oh, yeah, sorry. In the state requirements, face masks are required of all students, staff, and visitors. And students can take their masks off if they are in a physical barrier or 6 feet away from each other. Otherwise, they must keep the mask on during the day.
What guidance is that?
That is in the state, New Jersey Department of State, back to school requirements.
I'm almost 100% sure, because we've had meetings about this, that it's strongly recommended, it's not required for students to wear face masks unless they can social distance. And when they can't social distance, it's required. But coming to school, they have to wear it. Walking to the classroom, and if they get to a classroom and they have the ability, there's only 8 kids in there and they can socially distance in the classroom, it's not required that they wear them right now. We're strongly encouraged.
Yes, that's correct. But they have to come to school with the face mask.
Yeah, I don't think that's the argument here at all. I think we're saying that kids have to wear masks to and from school. They have to wear them to class, they have to wear them to the bathroom, and they have to wear them when they cannot socially distance.
Yes. My
Yeah.
son is in a class right now, and he wears a face mask from 9 to 12 o'clock every day, 9:30 to 12, and he has no issues. What does happen and can be recommended for parents is to send more than one mask with the child, because he does go through like 2 or 3 masks a day, especially the surgical ones, the lighter surgical ones. So that's just an FYI. But thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else that would like to come forward with a question? Okay, I see no one else coming forward. Can I have a motion to close public comments?
Oh,
Jim, can I have a second? Maureen, all in favor?
aye.
Okay, I just want to just comment to that. I'm sorry, one more time. Again, just like I say, I just want everybody safe, and I want the teachers to feel safe. I want the students to feel safe. So I just want the teachers, administrators, everybody to just make sure the kids wear the masks when they're not social distancing, and we have barriers, and everything is followed the way it's supposed to be followed. You know, I know I have to wear a mask all the time. We go in stores. I agree with the parents are saying, so that's why I brought it up. So, all right. So.
I believe there will be a lot more guidance on these things in the upcoming week.
Yeah, I'm sure to come. Things are going to change. So, okay. So nothing else. Can I have a motion to close? And thank you everybody for participating tonight. I think it was a great town hall, great discussion, and I'm sure things will change from now until the school opening. So stay tuned, and we might need another town hall from now until opening. So everybody have a good night.
It looks like Brad DeRuco's on here.
Brad's on?
Looks like.
Okay. Can I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Jim?
You want to talk to Brad?
Second, Sabrina.
I think he's trying to get on before we close.
I don't see Brad. Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Second, Adalia, all in favor?
All right.
All right, have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aye.
Good night.